Oh, it's getting so cold. Hey, 失礼します. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite animes. And today, I'm going to do another anime review of Kakegurui. Yes. So, yeah, Kakegurui is a manga written by Kawamoto Homura and illustrated by Naomura Toru. And Kakegurui is about gambling. So essentially, we have an incredibly prestigious secondary school in Japan called the Hyakao Academy, and there is a certain social hierarchy system in the academy, and it is determined by gambling and solely gambling. If you loses a lot of gambles and you have a lot of debts, you're gonna become a house pet, where you have to wear a sort of a necklace with a sign saying that you're a house pet, and people will mistreat you, people will beat you up, laugh at you. It is incredibly unfair. And of course, whoever wins a lot of gambles and whoever has a lot of money so that they can bribe people can become really powerful and join the student council, which is ultimately the most powerful organization, the most powerful group in the entire school. And one day, there is a girl, and her name is Jabami Yumeko, and she entered the school to change the system. She wants to fight the authorities. So she had a really sneaky plan to sort of overthrow the student council and eventually fight the student council president, which is the ultimate evil. And she had met an acquaintance, that is Suzui, and also Saotome Mary and others as well. First off, let's talk about the OP. Oh my god, I love this OP. This opening sequence is fantastic. It is jazzy, it is chaotic, it is unpredictable, it radiates extreme Yuri energy, which makes the whole thing even more intimate and unstable and unsettling and uncomfortable, and it's just a huge disaster of chaos and filth, and it's just fantastic. I love how jazzy the OP is. It sounds good. Even the vocal performances of the song itself is very seductive and slick, and it just really fits the tone of the story and the anime itself. And then we have the ED, which is a little bit more stiff, a little bit more robotic, and it's not that great of a song, but I'll say that it's a good thing that it's not another one of those really, generic Japanese passionate rock songs that are very anime-esque. But for the ED, the entire thing is basically Yumeko walking in a straight line, being super horny and wet, and just extending both her arms because she's just so in love with gambling. And while I like the idea of this ED, I think it has nowhere near the chaotic energy that the OP has, that I really, really love. Another thing about this anime that people should notice is that this is from Mappa Studios, who is now doing the, of course, Attack on Titan final season, part 1, also the later parts. And the animation is pretty interesting. I wouldn't say they're the most artistic ever, but there's something about this anime that strays from the manga, and that is the crazy ass facial expressions, which are so disturbing, psychotic, and disgusting. Nearly every single character, literally, I can't think of a single character who hasn't had a moment in this anime so far where their faces are just psychotic and crazy and scary. And in a way, it adds onto the eccentricity of the anime really well. And I guess I also have to mention that this anime is not for kids, it's not for children. It is indeed very adult. Not only is there excessive gambling in this anime, which is not a good practice in my opinion. I mean, gambling a little bit, fine, but excessive, compulsive, not a good habit at all. But on top of that, there is so much sexual atmosphere during the gamble. It's actually insane. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons why this anime has been so polarizing. It's because it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people may go into this anime thinking, wow, it's so unrealistic. Why does everything has to be so psychotic and sexual and unstable? Why is everyone so bad? Why is everyone so immoral? Why is everyone insane? But some people may go into this anime and be like, damn, everyone's insane, everything's insane, it's really crazy. It's really a roller coaster ride, and I kind of love it. And I belong to the latter group. In my opinion, the insanity of the characters and the situations of this anime is what makes it so eccentric and what makes it entertaining in a way. I don't think a lot of TV shows, like live action TV shows or animes, are able to capture that insane atmosphere where everybody's just insane. Everybody's just immoral. Nobody's truly righteous. Nobody's a hero. Everybody are villains, sort of fighting each other, and everybody's bad. Everybody sucks. Everybody's filthy. And when you see all of them fight, it's almost like, oh my god, yes, yes, more, more, more. The only movie that reminds me of that for some reason is Whiplash by Damien Chazelle, where the main character Andrew and the coach Terrence, both of them are not righteous people. One of them is overly ambitious, and the other one is very abusive and also equally as ambitious, honestly. And just seeing them fight each other is so heartbreaking. It's so painful to watch, yet it's so entertaining. It's like, yes, yes, fight, yeah. And Kakegurui kind of captures that atmosphere, which is something that I really, really like. Now, I'm going to go over episode by episode. As you can see, I didn't actually type out a review script. I'm going to go a little freestyle here. I wrote some bullet points. So, episodes 1, 2, 3 unfortunately follow a bit of a villain of the week formula, and that kind of concerned me a little bit. Of course, on episode 1, Yumeko joins the school, and the most popular girl in the class, Saotome Mary, who owns a house pet back on episode 1, and the house pet is Suzui, an innocent boy, a naive boy. And essentially, Saotome Mary, I'll call her Mary. Mary invited Yumeko to a game of gambling. And I find it really cool that a lot of animes have rock, paper, scissors or Janken Ho, Janken Pa, where, two characters play rock, paper, scissors in the most dramatic and intense way possible. I saw that back in No Game No Life. I saw that back in JoJo Part 4, and now we have another rock, paper, scissors battle that is intense and dramatic, is insane, and a lot of money is at stake, and it's crazy, and overall it's really entertaining. And I was kind of concerned for a moment there. Maybe once Saotome Mary is gone, she'll never return. But no, she becomes quite an important character as well, and she becomes easily my top 2 favorite characters of the story so far. Up next on episode 2, we have Yumeko versus the Nail Girl, the girl who always wins gambles because she cheats. I mean, there are a lot of cheaters in the show, and if her opponents can't pay her money, then the opponents have to pay her nails. So she would keep people's nails. She's also insane. And essentially, this girl, she invited Yumeko for another gamble on episode 2, where they have to memorize a bunch of cards and their placements. There are 2 stacks of cards, and they're all laid on the table, backside up. And if you remember, you can flip one card, and if you flip another card that is exactly the same, then you win one pair, and the more pairs you win, the more likely you're gonna win. And if you have a pair of cards, you can flip it again. But if you fail, then your opponent gets to do it until your opponent fails, essentially. I really like that this anime is about gamble, and of course, given that if an anime is solely about gambling, the writers need to sort of create games themselves, and they do that really creatively in this anime as well. But yeah, episode 2 is also kind of entertaining, I guess. Yumeko is, she always acts really nice and sort of polite and calm and chill. It's really rare whenever Yumeko becomes, psychotic or insane or something. And I guess that is basically Yumeko's character. On episode 3, Yumeko challenged another student council member. By the way, the girl who collects nails, she is a member of the student council. And then on the following episodes, she basically fights against all the student council members. So on episode 3, she's up against the slit-eyed girl. This slit-eyed girl in a club room where these gambles, man, they don't even make any sense. They're just that luck based, and they're just that ridiculous. But essentially, there are a bunch of small metal swords in a cup. You put the cup on a small circular plate with a bunch of slits in circles, and beside each slits are a number. If there's a sword that falls onto a slit, say beside the number 13, and the sword is right side up, then you get plus 13 points. Or more like you get, if you bet your chips on the number 13, there's also another board full of numbers. If you bet your chips on number 13 and there's a sword that landed on number 13 and the sword is right side up, then you win. If the sword is not right side up, then you lose, even though you got the number right. And yeah, it's crazy because the slit-eye girl also cheat, and seeing Yumeko debunk her cheats is really entertaining, though I wouldn't say that this episode is that enjoyable for me, because at that point I was a little worried maybe it's going to fall into a villain of the week formula. However, that formula kind of broke itself on episodes 4 to 5, which are two extremely entertaining episodes where Yumeko and Mary crossed paths again in a huge game that's meant for repaying debts, where essentially there are a bunch of people who participated in the game, but it's separated into groups. So each group has 4 people around one square table, and these 4 people also have debts, and they're gonna gamble. And depending on how well they gamble, they're gonna swap their debts, essentially. And so earlier, because spoiler alert, Yumeko at some point lost to the slit-eyed girl, even though she kind of knew it. There's a dude who almost R-worded her, literally. And that dude showed up again in episodes 4 to 5. And seeing Yumeko and Mary team up and completely destroy that dude is extremely satisfying. And also, I really love it when, Mary and Yumeko sort of team up, because, Mary and Yumeko are literally enemies in the beginning, and seeing enemies sort of become friends sort of develops their characters, which is really nice. I like character development, especially on Mary's side, because Mary, you can tell in her core, she's actually a good person. She doesn't like to cheat. The only reason why she wants to cheat is because she doesn't want to be a house pet. She doesn't want to be mistreated, because she thinks the system is injustice. So in her core, she's actually a good person. And she's probably the only person who's truly good in the story, or at least in comparison, honestly. Episodes 6 to 7 are also extremely entertaining, because we have Yumeko versus Midari, and Midari is also in my top 2 favorite characters of the entire show. Midari is also in the student union. She has an eye patch, and she carries a gun wherever she goes. And Midari is insane. She is extremely insane. Now, normally, psychotic crazy gamble players. They remain really calm, has a poker face, acts really nice, and is very manipulative and scary on the inside. But Midari, she doesn't care. She shows all her expressions very, very dramatically. And she loves gambling. She doesn't even care if she loses because she wants to lose. And she doesn't want to pay money. She wants to die. She wants to hurt herself. So, yeah, that's Midari. Her philosophy is really simple, really. She wants to gamble, she wants to lose, she wants to die. And she wants to die to someone good. And she found Yumeko, she got interested, she had a crush on Yumeko, and now she wants to invite Yumeko to a gamble and lose so that Yumeko can kill her. Because she's gonna put her life on the line, literally. And yeah, these episodes are amazing. Every time Midari is on screen, she completely hooks me. She's just that entertaining of a character. She's just that out there. She's just that blunt and insane. You know, at the end, at the very climax of these two episodes, she was literally drooling all over the table. Crying, drooling, hands on her genital, and laughing psychotically, like saying, "Please fuck me, Yumeko." Like, she's literally insane. She's quite extremely insane. Episodes 8 to 9 see Yumeko fighting against an idol girl. And I also really enjoy these two episodes because they sort of comment on the really toxic idol culture in Japan as well as in other countries, honestly. Because as you all know, these idols, they're supposed to be super nice and cute and talented and yada yada, and everybody knows that the way record labels and the industry treats these idols are actually extremely inhumane, and had given these idols, you know, depression and all that stuff, and had drawn these idols down to an emotional and a mental rock bottom that these idols can't even handle, not only in Japan but also in South Korea and China and other countries, honestly. So these two episodes sort of comment on that. We see this idol girl who's also, of course, in the student council. She acts really cute and nice on the surface, but in the inside, she's on the verge of breaking. She's so frustrated. She's ambitious, she wants to be an idol, but the pressure, her fans, she's just not enjoying it. So she was up against Yumeko. And we have two very interesting episodes where they have to gamble by tic-tac-toe, but in order to put a mark on the grid, they have to compete against each other on a specific idol game, like, you know, singing competition or a simple gamble. And at first I'm like, wow, Yumeko acting like an idol on stage in front of a bunch of people just to gamble against the idol girl? Wow. And that indeed actually happened. But what surprised me on these two episodes is how these two episodes ended. It ended quite wholesomely. Because at the end of the day, sure, the idol girl is also insane. She's also bad and filthy. She hates her fans even though she pretends that she likes them. But at the end of the day, she's had enough. She decided to be honest, and it sort of had a pretty wholesome result. Honestly, these two episodes ended wholesomely. It ended sweetly, and the ED of episode 9 is actually Yumeko and the idol girl singing in duet, and it's unexpected and it's actually pretty cool. And then on episodes 10 to 11, we have Yumeko versus the only male member of the student council, which is really refreshing. I would really love to see Yumeko up against a really powerful male member. And that all happened all on the same day as the idol girl. They were still on the stage. And the gamble is pretty interesting. It's essentially poker, but they can't call or fold. They can only bet or raise. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'd say that episode 10 is a little slow paced and kind of uneventful, but episode 11 definitely reaches an extremely interesting climax. Also, the nail girl had returned, and her character also went through a bit of a development, which is really nice. And then ultimately we have episode 12, which is the season finale, where Yumeko actually is up against the one and only student council president herself. And the student council president is like Yumeko, basically. They are actually literally identical. They act really nice and calm on the surface, and the inside they're inhumane, especially for the student council, who is like the ultimate evil. She enjoys watching people suffer, she enjoys exploiting people, she enjoys seeing weak people suffer, and she believes that weak people should die and strong people should live. Ugh, I'm having Form 2 flashbacks now. But yeah, I was kind of skeptical at first because I thought one episode, Yumeko versus the president, which is supposed to be the biggest fight ever. One episode long? Really? Turns out it's not even much of a fight. It ended really quickly. Essentially, they have a bunch of tarot cards and they laid them all around a circular table. And there can only be 3 players. So Yumeko, the student council president, and Suzui. Now Yumeko has to flip a card. And because every tarot card has a number, if he flips a card, her score is going to be the number on the card. But if it's inverted, it's negative if it's right side up. Or if it's not inverted, it's positive. And of course, if she's below 0, she loses. If she's above 0, she wins. There's only one card that can guarantee her win or lose or loss, and that is the Fool. You know, the Fool. So if the Fool is right side up, she immediately wins. It doesn't matter what card she pulls off. Or if she or if someone pulls the Fool and the Fool is inverted, from Yumeko's perspective, she immediately loses. And their gamble is not stepping into the school again, which is not a huge gamble, honestly, but I guess there's a certain value to it. And yeah, this game is pretty interesting because we really see the dynamic between the student council president and Yumeko. Yumeko doesn't hate the student council president, whose name is Kikari, I think, and Kikari doesn't hate Yumeko as well. In fact, they kind of like each other because they're such enemies. They begin to like enjoy playing with one another, you know. And Suzui was also caught up in all that, and at that point I was kind of afraid that Suzui is not going to go through any character development throughout the entire season. That would be extremely disappointing. But actually at the end, he kind of changed. He made a very, very shocking decision, which is amazing, and yeah, cool decision as well. So yeah, I actually enjoyed the finale, and I'm just gonna end the review at that. I think Yumeko is not that great of a character because at the end of the day, she's just an adrenaline junkie who likes to gamble and exploit people. She's just a psycho, but other side characters like Mary and Midari and Suzui are actually good characters and layered, especially Mary and Midari. And yeah, I like the very crazy, insane tone of the story. It's really entertaining. So I'm just gonna end it at that. My favorite episode is probably episode 6. And my least favorite is probably... actually, I also really love episode 11. And my least favorite is probably episode 3. I am giving Kakegurui Season 1 a strong 7 to a light 8 out of 10. So if you watched Kakegurui from 1 to 10, how much you rate it? Like and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.